This is mullein. You can use these dried leaves to make a tea, which is good for congestion and stuff. I've used it a couple times. It works pretty good and it doesn't taste too bad. It kind of reminds me of green tea. And this is some sort of mint. It has a square stem. You can tell the mints by the square stem. There's a couple other plants that have a square stem, but typically, if you just squish up a couple leaves and sniff it, you can smell the mint. I'm not sure which variety this is. I don't pay too much attention to the mints. This one appears to get a small white flower at the top, and then also coming out from the leaf stalks at the top of the branching stems. That's what the leaf looks like. Well, if you know what kind of mint that is, make a comment on my YouTube channel and let me know. Here's some more mulberry. The leaves can have a wide variety of looks, all on the same stem. Here's some more of that soapwort. I showed the video on how to make soap. Pretty interesting plant. I believe it has medicinal properties too. There's quite a big mess of it growing in this area. Up and down through here. Here's a good way to spot curly dock later in the year when it's already went to seed. You can see up and down through here all these brown stalks with the seeds all over them. That's curly dock. And if you come back in the spring, you can find the young basil rosettes and pick the greens and eat them. Some more milkweed. Clover. Here's some of the younger dock. I'm not 100% sure if this one is curly dock though, because it doesn't seem to have a curly margin. This might be the smooth or whatever other kind of dock it is. There's another one that looks somewhat similar. This is a type of bergamot. I'm not sure which variety this is, but it's a tea, it's a mint. Has a square stem. Smells real good. It's supposed to make a real good tea. I'm just not that big into mints myself, but it's a interesting one to know. Here's some more spotted jewelweed growing in the middle of this big old log pile. Good cure for mosquito bites. I'm actually going to pick some. If you're into hunting mushrooms for the table, you know, keep a lookout for areas like this. Because some edible mushrooms favor these wood piles. There's some growing right there. That looks like some species of Lepiota. I'm not too sure. I'm not going to go into it too much because it doesn't look like it's worth picking if it was edible. You do got to be careful with the mushrooms, just as much as you got to be careful with the plants, that you don't pick the wrong thing and poison yourself. I was just coming here to take a quick look and see if a certain mushroom was popping up, but it's not. Here's a good way to spot garlic mustard when it's out of season. You'll see dense stands of these dried out stems and racemes, seed pods up in the summer. Come back in the winter or in the early spring and you can harvest the leaves and the root. The root is a real good substitute for horseradish. If you like horseradish, gather up some of those garlic mustard roots and make some horseradish with them. You'd be surprised. I personally don't like it myself, but I've had people taste the root and they're like, oh yeah, that tastes just like horseradish, so keep an eye out for that. This here is a mushroom that is considered a look-alike to the common chanterelle mushroom, which is edible. This isn't a very good example, it's quite dark, but this is called the jack-o'-lantern mushroom. And if you're interested in harvesting chanterelles for the table, you should know this mushroom because they grow in the same spots at about the same time of the year. There's quite a lot of difference between the two. So if you learn the features of the jack-o'-lantern, I believe it's called Omphalotus olearius. If you learn the difference between the jack-o'-lantern and the chanterelle, you should be fairly safe.